Genetically modified organisms contain DNA that's been altered using genetic engineering. Genetically modified animals are mostly used for research purposes, but genetically modified plants are common in today's food supply, more common than you know. It has been described as the future of food. However, many Nigerians are hesitant. You know how we are. What we don't know won't kill us, and God is in control. But we cannot ostrich our way through this one. My guest explains why GMOs are necessary here and safe for us. Abuja has an entire biotech farm churning out genetically modified food for export and subsistence. We visit one of them in our focus on the FCT, and as we do every week, we give you our Abuja wrap. This is Dateline Abuja. Hello and welcome to Dateline Abuja. I am Kayla Magwa. Let's begin by giving you a roundup of leading stories from the nation's capital in our Abuja wrap.
President Muhammadu Buhari was in Addis Ababa, the capital of Ethiopia, for the inauguration of the Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed. While in the country, he also held bilateral talks with President Salva Kiir of South Sudan. Back in the country, President Buhari met with a team from ExxonMobil Corporation, led by its upstream oil and gas president, Mr. Liam Malone. He urged operators in the petroleum industry to take advantage of the new Petroleum Industry Act to promote investments in the oil and gas sector. Talking about the oil and gas sector, President Muhammadu Buhari has received the Certificate of Incorporation of the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited. He was presented with the certificate by the Registrar of the Corporate Affairs Commission, Alhaji Garba Abubakar.
My expectation is for a speedy transition by taking all necessary steps required to transfer assets, human and material, and without wasting time, capitalize the company as required by the Petroleum Industry Act.
The president also received his predecessor, former President GOODLUCK Jonathan. The meeting held behind closed doors, and details were not made public. However, the former president has been active as ECOWAS Special Envoy to Mali, a position that has brought him in more regular touch with President Buhari in recent times. President Buhari presided over the weekly Federal Executive Council meeting, where the federal government threatens to declare an emergency rule in Anambra State if the insecurity continues.
No possibility is outruled by government in terms of ensuring the sanctity of our democratic order, in terms of ensuring that our elections in Anambra holds. And you cannot out all possibilities, inclusive of the possibility of declaration of state of emergency, where it is established in essence that there is failure on the part of the state government to ensure the sanctity of security of lives, properties, and democratic order. So our position as a government is if these elections are going to hold and necessary security in terms of democratic order must certainly prevail for the purpose of this election.
Meanwhile, the threat did not go down well with the president. And this is according to Governor Willie Obiano of Anambra State after a meeting with President Buhari.
I just finished a meeting with the president and I mentioned it, and the president didn't suggest that. The president is firm. He wants a peaceful election in Anambra State. He wants a free and fair election in Anambra State. That's the president for you. But if people in his party are going around making insinuations, using his name to do things, the president clearly told me that he does not support that.
The president also met with some state governors. He met with the chairman of the Nigerian Governors Forum, Governor Kayode Fayemi of Ekiti State, who came in the company of the Director General of the Forum. He also met with Governor Atiku Bagudu of Kebbi State. President Buhari has presented a budget of 16.39 trillion naira before a joint session of the National Assembly. The 2022 budget has a deficit of 6.26 trillion naira, which President Buhari says will be financed with new borrowings totaling 5.01 trillion naira.
Some have expressed concern over our resort to borrowing to finance our fiscal gaps. They are right to be concerned. However, we believe that the debt level of the federal government is still within sustainable limits. Very importantly, we have endeavored to use the loans to finance critical development projects.
Former student of Professor Osinbajo seized the opportunity of the World Teachers' Day to celebrate his years as their teacher. The students linked up with him virtually.
And I found that as a teacher, it was not a chore at all. It was not difficult for me at all. I could spend long hours, teaching or talking to my students. I thoroughly enjoyed it, and I thoroughly loved the interaction with the students. And as she said, I loved my students. I loved the fact that they were there. I was able to interact with them and all that. And we had, most of them maintained a great relationship with. So I want to thank you, because really, this is one of those things where you are paid for enjoying yourself, because as a teacher, I really felt that I was paid for it, although it wasn't much pay, but at least, it was all made up for in the satisfaction that came from being able to impart the knowledge that one had acquired. So I want to thank you very much, everyone, and also to wish you all a happy Teachers' Day, and to pray that just as you have celebrated me, you also will be celebrated by all of those that you have impacted.
Professor Osinbajo is in London ahead of the United Nations Energy Summit. Aside from holding a closed-door meeting with COP26 President-designate Mr. Alok Sharma, he also presented the Nigerian Energy Transition Program at Imperial College in central London.
Welcome back. Stanford University compared organic foods to genetically modified foods and found that there was no strong evidence that one or the other is either more nutritious or more likely to carry with it additional health risks that are associated with its consumption. Are we able to ensure standard requirements are met here in Nigeria? We visited a few of these biotech farms in Abuja, and what we found is quite revealing. Please watch this.
This is a research farm for agricultural biotechnology. 3 biotech crops are undergoing field trials in Nigeria. They are cowpeas, cotton, and beans. The idea of the farm, which is within the premises of the National Biotechnology Development Agency, is to strengthen the local varieties of the crops to be insect resistant and herbicide tolerant.
The problem that farmers always experience, the challenge with soybeans cultivation, is weed invasiveness, weediness. The weeds come up and choke up the plants, and so they share nutrients, So and it results to low yields, of course. So the breeders now thought it wise, looking at the challenge farmers are going through, they thought it wise to develop certain varieties of soybeans that will be herbicide, tolerant, because the farmers always resort to spraying, because if you till the soil, you're always tilling, weeding and what. Weeding is actually labor intensive, and most of our farmers here in Nigeria or in Africa at large are like old people. It's mostly the older generation. They have no much energy, to be using hoe, cutlass, tilling the soil all the time and then disturbing the crop. And as you're tilling the soil, you're destroying a lot of things, nutrients and what. And then it also causes a carbon, sequestration. So, but, by not tilling the soil, by applying, that a chemical or herbicide, of course, the weeds will die off, but then your own crop, if your crop is not modified, if the soybeans is not modified, as you spray, the soybeans will also dry off, as the weeds dry off. So in order to actually mitigate that major challenge, scientists, breeders developed that variety of soybeans that can resist. As you spray, your soybeans is still vigorous, it stands erect, but the weeds die and they go down. And as they go down, of course, they support your soybeans plants. They support the growth, and then they trap the nutrients. So I mean, it becomes advantageous, and then the yield now, because they're not sharing nutrients with weeds again, so they can produce more pods.
In July this year, 32 farmers were given the seedlings of the newly commercialized cowpea in the Federal Capital Territory. This is part of plans to get more farmers to begin to plant biotech crops and ultimately make farming more attractive. More farmers in other parts of the country are expected to get more seeds to plant the crops.
It's good to actually make agriculture, what will I say, make it simpler, simplify it, remove drudgery from agriculture, and everyone in the society will join. Because Mr. President has already actually declared that we should grow what we eat and then eat what we grow. And so by so doing, we are actually encouraging that to grow what we eat. So that, more people will, because if you simplify agriculture, of course, make it business-like, of course, more people will go into it. The youth will be attracted, they will go into it. And so we'll have more food. And if we have more food, of course, we're going to have, let's say, prices will be stabilized, will go down.
Nigeria is facing looming food crisis caused by climate change and insecurity. However, the introduction of genetically modified crops is considered key in addressing the issue.
The US is one of the countries that place value on life. So for them to have commercialized such variety of crops, I believe they've done lots of proximate analysis, lots of analysis on the crop before it was commercialized. So I don't see any reason why anybody should have concerns or be scared of the technique or the technology. Yes, so far it's meant to, solve a problem or the other, on crop improvements, on food security, and all that.
The National Biosafety Management Agency is saddled with the responsibility of providing a regulatory framework, institutional and administrative mechanisms for safety measures in the application of modern biotechnology with a view to preventing any adverse effect on human health, animals, plant, and the environment. The Director General of the agency insists that biotech crops are safe for public consumption.
Anyone that uses biological agents maliciously will be prosecuted, and such a person or a group of people or organization will face the full wrath of the law. Nigeria as a country must be secured, so that know that the federal government sees the issue of this national biosecurity policy as a major national assignment. The agency will meticulously ensure that this process under the Federal Ministry of Environment is conclusive this year, so that the Federal Executive Council can take a critical look at it and take a decision, and we are hoping by the end of this year it will become our national policy on biosecurity.
Nigeria officially signed the Biosafety Bill into law in 2015, making it eligible to join the League of Nations already using genetic engineering to boost food production. Nevertheless, the government is putting together the National Biosecurity Policy and Action Plan, which is aimed at protecting Nigerians and the environment from any threat arising from biological organisms.
My guest on the program is Professor Abdullahi Mustafa, the Director General and CEO of the National Biotechnology Development Agency. He assures us genetically modified foods are safe for us, and what's more, we've been consuming them for a while with no incident. Professor Mustafa, welcome to Dateline Abuja.
Thank you, Kela.
You know, lots of people have been talking about a food crisis. Nigeria is in a food crisis. But for people to understand what this really means, what is a food crisis and what is Nigeria going through right now?
Well, I may not call it food crisis because what you need to look at is that there is a process by which agriculture can be enhanced, and that is going to enhance the productivity of our crops, the crops that we use. I know currently that government policy is to close the border. We produce what we eat what we produce. That is the government policy. So in doing that, of course, there are some gaps that could be filled. But when you look at the productivity aspect, you can look at it from the aspect of the production, where if as a farmer you adopt to modern technology as it is done in Western world, you see that the productivity is going to be high. And when you adopt the traditional way of doing things like carrying your hoe, go to your farm, using the unimproved seed, you will see that the productivity is going to be very low.
Wait, so I want to go back, because you're basically saying we're not experiencing a food crisis? Is that what you're saying to us?
Well, to my own understanding, no. We need to just work hard and see that we have arrested the situation. The border is closed. Of course, if the border is closed, there is a gap that needs to be filled. That is what I understand from it. So the border, if it is closed, we need to work hard, apply modern technology, then apply the modern mechanization. So this is what we need to do.
So the gap that we need to fill is not enough for us to say we're in a food crisis.
That is my understanding.
So we need to be able to do more by, because I'm listening to you talk about, you know, employing a lot of these foreign techniques. Is that the way forward?
Yes, modern techniques. That is the way forward. And that is what I'm telling you.
To increase yield?
Of course, because when you have a farmland, for example, if you have like 1 hectare, 1 hectare, as if somebody is using the older method of doing it, he can produce, just as an example, maybe 20 bags of rice. And then if somebody is using modern technology, then that person can produce like 60, 70. So you cannot make that comparison. The world now has gone modern. And if we do not adopt the technology, then we are going to go nowhere.
That actually brings me to my next question that has to do with biotechnology, because that's where your agency is focusing on. Now, of course, you just said to us that you don't think Nigeria is experiencing a food crisis, but there is a gap that needs to be filled up.
That is it.
But the food crisis is something that they've been talking about all over the world. There's so many meetings and stakeholder engagements trying to get people in this particular sector to ensure that the value chain of food is fixed and that we have the utmost yield as a country. Where does biotechnology come into play in achieving this?
That is what I'm telling you. So they are trying to say food crisis, they are relating it to the technological aspect of it. So which means still is the gap that need to be filled. Biotechnology, you know, is a modern technology. That is part of what I'm trying to say, that applying modern technology is the way forward. Biotechnology is a technique that you use to improve the yield, to improve the quality, to improve the productivity. How? You know, for example, when you take at an issue of climate change is one bedeviling issue that you cannot do anything about it, but rather to reduce the carbon dioxide emission. But there is another way to do it if you are a farmer, or if your country is serious about production, and that is what we're doing in this country. Drought-resistant crops are the solution. So when you have the drought-resistant crop, which National Biotechnology Development Agency has produced, for example, the maize, that is the Tela Maize project, the water, even if it is not enough, like for example 4 to 5 months, that drought tolerance is there. The gene is there in the maize, so it will not just cease production. It will reach as if the rain has reached maximum to its production.
People are afraid of genetically modified organisms. They're afraid of GMO in food and things like that. Talk to us about how people can feel a little bit more relaxed, because you're talking about maize. Now we're looking at cotton and things like that we're not going to consume. Many Nigerians wouldn't really bother much. But if you're now affecting my ginger, or you're touching my maize, or my rice, you know, or fruits and things like that. Talk to us a bit about GMOs. Should Nigerians be worried that the application of biotechnology in farming might affect the type of food that we eat?
No, it is not going to affect anything. This technology is a new technology, and I've told you now from the beginning that whatever you produce in the laboratory, it has to go through certain series of safety tests.
None of these, just to be clear, the biotechnology that you're applying in the crops that we're going to be eating, it's not going to make them into genetically modified organisms?
They are GMO.
So, so the crops will be GMOs?
Yes, they are.
How can we get Nigerians to feel a little bit more comfortable?
That's what I'm telling you. It is science. I'm a professional, so I'm telling you that it is safe. It is safe. It's just like you're trying to ask a professional architect, how do you design this? Medical doctor, you are sick. All these things. So this is biotechnology, and I'm telling you from what we observe in the laboratory, from what is obtained around the world, this technology is safe.
GMOs are safe for consumption.
Yes, it's safe.
That's the message.
It's safe. It's safe. You have been consuming GMO. You don't know. You import, like for example, soybean. Soybean is imported. Do you know how it is made? There are so many GMOs food that you consume in the country, but you don't know. You don't know because it is not processed in Nigeria. This is a technology. We want to domesticate the technology. We want to make the technology genuine in Nigeria. We are the people that does it. It's not that we wait all the time that until somebody does something outside and then the person will bring it to the country and then it will just be like, you're a consumer. No.
Where did Nigerians get the idea that GMOs are dangerous?
Well, you know, it's just this superstition. Let me ask you a question. Where did they get this, that this vaccine is dangerous?
It's dangerous, yeah.
But this is anything new. This is a new vaccine. They used to say it is a magnet. When you put it, they're introducing microchips into your body. That is how people are. But with time, they will understand. With time, they will know. Because when you use it for a number of years, nothing happens to you. Then you'll be like, okay, this is good. I don't know. At times, people wait until somebody consumes it. Then when they see that nothing happened to the person, then they will start to say, okay, maybe I'll give it a try. So that is how it is. It's a new technology, and that technology is safe. Nobody should be apprehensive. Nobody should exercise fear. It is being done elsewhere around the world.
Nigeria is a farm country, you know,
so
there's a lot of work ahead for you.
That is true.
And I wish you all the best. Thank you so much for being with us on Dateline Abuja. Are you still skeptical of genetically modified foods? The first genetically engineered plants to be produced for human consumption were introduced in the mid-1990s. Today, approximately 90% of the corn and soya beans in the market are GMOs. Genetically engineered crops produce higher yields, have a longer shelf life, and are resistant to diseases and pests. These benefits are a plus for both farmers and consumers. But the skepticism is normal. If GMOs can be shown to be both safe and healthy, consumer resistance to these products will most likely diminish. And that's Dateline Abuja this week. Please let us know the happenings in your neighborhood using the social media handles showing right now on your screen. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Kayla Magwa. See you next time.